What's up YouTube? If you're new here, my name is Danny James, and in today's video we're going to be learning how to create an ultra realistic CRT VHS effect inside of After Effects. Inside of After Effects you want to create a new composition. Let's name this CRT, small case letters, doesn't matter. Then let's create something small as 70 by 40. It needs to be something like a rectangle. Create something like that. We have to zoom in. Make sure you're rendering on full. Now let's get your rounded rectangle tool and create one rounded rectangle, something like this. Go back to your selection tool, hit Ctrl D twice, and then we move these other ones to the side. Okay, now let's change the color for the first one to a red. So you can find your red right here, and then we can also get a green and then make one of them blue. Okay, so we have a red, green, blue. It doesn't matter which one stays where. By default, I'll arrange this one such that green is in the middle so that it's RGB. Hold shift and click on your 3 layers. Find your align tab right here and make sure that you align them vertically. Now make sure they somewhat have an equal space around them. So something like this is a good first start. Afterwards, let's create a new composition. Now let's make this 8K. Find your presets, go to 8K. Okay, then make sure it matches the composition settings for the first comp, which was 25 frames per second. Make sure it's about 6 seconds long. Just to confirm, we'll go back to our CRT composition, look at the settings. So it's at 25. On this comp, we needed to give it a name. Let's name it CRT 8K. Inside this comp, let's bring the small CRT composition that we just brought in. And if we zoom out, it's very small, we can't really see it. Now we're trying to replicate these 3 bars all around the screen. So go to your effects and presets, look for CC Reptile, and then with the expand right, left, down and up, try to max these settings. I'll try to put these on 400 and then I'll add more zeros. Let's make it 40K. Okay, it's 20K is max, and then we copy that value to these other channels. Okay, so it should be covering the entire screen now. And now if we see, we have those phosphor dots all around our comp. Once you have these, just create a new composition. So let's name this footage. Make sure it's a default 1920 by 1080. So these are 1920 by 1080. I'll bring in some clip from Central's video 646. So I have this video in the comp. Once you've done all of this, now it's time to create the last composition that you have to do, and this will be our main comp CRT. Now let's import the CRT 8K, which has the phosphor dots all around it. If you want to have more dots within the comp, you can hit S and scale it down. Since this is an 8K, you can scale it down. I'll actually give it a 30. You don't really need to do this step. Bring in our footage comp right beneath that. Once you have this running, you want to disable the visibility for CRT 8K and make sure that it stays on top of the footage comp. Now inside this footage, let's duplicate this thrice. So hit Ctrl D. The first one, let's name this red footage, and the second green footage, and the third one blue footage. Okay, now go to your effects and presets, look for shift channels, and then drop it on all these comps except the CRT 8K. Drop it on all these 3 comps, and then you want to also search for set matte. Place it on all the comps. Go to your red footage, take alpha from alpha, take red from red, and then for the green and blue, put them on full off for this one, and then set matte layer from the CRT 8K, use red as the red channel. So this should be red, and everything else should be off. Do the same for the green footage comp. Take the alpha from alpha and then red, put red on full off and blue on full off. Take the matte from 8K and then use green channel for the matte. And we'll do the same for the blue footage. For the red, put them on off and green, and then set the matte and alpha channel on blue. Change the matte to blue channel. So we have something good for a start. I'll trim down this area so that we only render this part going forward, so that it can be quite easy. You can put your resolution back to a third or a quarter if you need to. It might be a bit strenuous on your computer depending on your specs, but this is what you should have so far. Once you're here, you need to create some adjustment layers. Right click right here, hit new adjustment layer. Make sure this adjustment layer is on top of everything. For this step, we need to create 6 adjustment layers. So I'll hit Ctrl D so that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On this layer, we'll have the noise, brightness, and glow. So rename it so that you can remember it. Go to your effects and look for a noise. Place it on that adjustment layer. You also want to add brightness and contrast. And the last of it should be a glow. You can use the inbuilt glow, but I'll go for a Red Giant Universe glow. It kind of gives me an easy way through. So I'll disable the first 2. For the noise, let's put it on 20 and then disable using color noise. For the brightness and contrast, increase the brightness. I'll set it at 150 so that it's as bright as you can see, and then enable your glow. If your glow is too much, remember you can always increase the threshold to reduce the glow intensity. So I'll increase the threshold of my glow to right about 70. You can see the noise, brightness, and glow really give it a good look. It's time to adjust the second adjustment layer, and for this one we're going to rename it Distort Wave. Go to your effects and look for a wave warp. Place it on that layer. Put the wave type to square, wave width to 1000, the direction to 180, so that you have an arrow which goes down, and then the wave speed you can set it at 0.5. And make sure to set pinning on all edges. This looks really good. Now go to your third adjustment layer and then you can rename it Flicker Effect. Add the brightness and contrast effect on it. Okay. Now on this brightness, you want to hold Alt while clicking on the stopwatch. And then let's create an expression, wiggle, and we can make it go 5 and then comma 140. So this means that a brightness will flicker between 0 to 140 5 times per second. This wiggle expression means that we'll have arbitrary changes in the brightness throughout the sequence, so we won't have to add keyframes for that. I'll do the same for the contrast. Hold Alt while clicking on that, add wiggle, and then let's put something like 6 up to 60. Now once that is done, you can go onto your next adjustment layer. Let's name this one Thin Line, and then we can name the one that is on top Thick Line. On these ones, put the brightness and contrast on both these adjustment layer. You can max out the brightness, so I'll put about 100, and I also do the same for this other one, put it on 100. I'll disable the first one. Now on this adjustment layer, the thin line, hit S, disable the uniform proportions, and then reduce the scaling vertically. So we want this to be a thin line. That will be about 6. And then I'll enable the thick line, hit S, disable that proportionality, then reduce the size. So we want this to be a thick line. I'll let it stay at 16 scaling. Okay, now you want to hit P on these 2 adjustment layers, the thick line and the thin line. Enable the keyframe for position. You can do it manually by clicking on these 2 layers, and then you can raise that layer up. Hold Shift to keep it proportional. Now we'll go at about 1 second, and then we'll shift the position so that they all come downwards. Like that. You can also hold Shift while dragging them manually. So this will ensure that these lines descend this way. Once they are here, you just want to click on your preview and go 1 frame to the right. Now when it goes 1 frame to the right, you want to pull these 2 all the way up, back again. So I'll hold Shift, pull them up. This means they'll go back up again in a frame over frame. They will be up there again, and then we'll go at about 2 seconds, and then we'll make them come down. Now you can offset these keyframes so that they are not as uniform. for these two lines. Let's offset this one to the beginning keyframe, and if we look at it, you can see they will randomly descend in different timings. Now you can copy the first two keyframes. I'll copy this two, and then I'll go right at 3 seconds, paste. I'll go at 5 seconds, paste it again. I'll do the same for this other one, hit Ctrl C, go to near my 3rd second, paste it, give it some space. Now once they are here, you can always play around with the timings. You can put some keyframes closer to each other, some a bit further than the other. It's your game to play. This video editing, you need to have fun with it. Now if I play back this, we have different intervals of these lines descending. Onto the last adjustment layer, you can rename it fisheye effect. On this one, we'll add a CC lens from distortion. Just place it there, increase the size just a bit, and then you can reduce the convergence so that it goes on that side. So make sure the convergence is at a negative, something like that. Now you can go back to your effects and look for a transform. Now we want to get rid of these black edges. Put it on that adjustment layer and then increase the scaling. I like how the colors converge. If you can look at this frame, if we go back to our footage, this is how the frame looks like. If we go right on this side, if we go back to our footage, that's the frame that we are rendering. That's basically it. Now you can add one more thing to increase the realism of this. In case you want a more VHS look, you just need to offset the red footage, green and blue comps. Go to your preview tab, go one frame to the right from the beginning, then you can push the green right there. I'll go another frame to the right, just one frame, and then I'll offset the red footage like that. If you rub through going forward, I really love the colors which come out of these. It's more of an advanced CRT, so that's like an icing of the cake. Yeah, that's basically it. I love the colors on this frame and how they shift. I believe this was quite straightforward. If not, remember you can always rewind and go through it again. In case you have any questions, just leave them on the comment box and I'm happy to talk to you guys. If you did enjoy this video, kindly give it a like, and if you're also watching my content for the first time, you can subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you never miss any of my upcoming videos. My name is Danny James. See you in the next tutorial. Peace.